Good morning, Bills Mafia. We are here. Finally made it the first week of the postseason. Hey, it's been a long season, but we finally made it here. I'm Justus General Raffer, and of course, as always, I'm with the legend in 2 games. No Muki, well, 3 games now. No Muki Hawkins. What's going on, Mook? How you feeling this morning?
Hey, man. Football Sunday, playoff. I'm ready.
All right, so we got a big game today, big matchup. The red hot Trevor Lawrence versus, best quarterback in the world, Josh Allen, right? The Jaguars are on a heater, 8-game win streak. And the Bills limped into the playoffs a little bit. You know, you take that loss to the Eagles. You don't really play the last week. Josh Allen, have been going through some injuries. We've heard that Josh Allen is healthier than he's been in a few weeks now, and that he's all ready for today. So what are you expecting from this Bills offense versus, this really good Jaguars defense?
Well, after the Philadelphia game, once that game was lost, it was just okay. The Jets game is meaningless. The Bills know where they stood. No more. They could either been a 7 seed or a 5 seed. So the division was over at that point. One thing that they were trying to stay a part of is the AFC divisional race. Once the Philadelphia game was over, understanding that hey, the East isn't theirs anymore. Let's just start being more smart and focused for the new season, which is playoffs. So I think it was the right thing to do. Guys been beat up all season long. Now 17 is dealing with some injuries, but he'll be fine today.
So that's what we're hoping for. He is one of the most efficient quarterbacks in NFL history. So, of course, you're expecting that from Josh Allen, but this isn't quite the roster he's had in years past. Khalil Shakir and Keon Coleman might be the only 2 receivers who have caught playoff passes from him before. It's really a process, right? The Bills are very inconsistent. They're a very weird team, right? 1 week versus a really good team, they can come out and they can score 35 points, or they can have 0 points going into the fourth quarter. You never know what you're going to get with this team. 1 week you could get the doors blown up by the offense in the first half, and they give up however many yards and touchdowns. In the second half, they will completely lock you down to where you don't even complete a completion, Jalen Hurts. So which variation of this Bills team are we going to get today? We kind of need to see the good parts, but what are you expecting?
Well, I need to see better play offensively. This team really goes as the offense goes. We know defense wins championships. On that flip side, Coach McDermott, Coach Babbage, those guys has done more with less all season. You lose a Ed Oliver, you lose a Michael Hoyt. Just imagine if those 2 guys were playing today, right?
Yeah.
If Ed Oliver and Michael Hoyt was playing today,
different ball game.
It'd be a totally different ball game, right? So they've been doing more with less. You got Terrell Bernard, who's been battling injuries all season long. You even got, everybody pretty much defensively. You lose Tyler Rapp basically for, the remainder of the season. So at the end of the day, the Bills have been doing more with less defensively. And I've seen an evolution in Coach McDermott because of that. Since the bye week, this Bills defense has pretty much been top 5 or not top 10 defense easily. Even with the Russian issues, the Bills since the bye week has been top 10 defense in the NFL. So he's been doing more with less. The inconsistencies really lies offensively because, Joe Brady's scheme pretty much limits Josh Allen.
Yeah, definitely. And I had that debate on my Twitter this morning where, I was kind of looking at it, in totality. And this season really opened my eyes a little bit where I'm looking at it. And I used to look at it as, Brandon Beane put a roster that was capable of going to the Super Bowl on the field. Therefore, the blame is on Sean McDermott not getting there. This season, with what McDermott has been able to produce with, this offense has been able to make it work in the run game. And of course, Josh Allen's going to be Josh Allen. And then the defense buckling down whenever they're able to. They're riddled with injuries all over the place. I've gained more respect for Sean McDermott this season than I did last season, which was a lot. And we'll talk about the hot seat stuff, later in the day, should the outcome not be what we want. But what are you expecting from Sean McDermott and the coaching staff in these playoffs? I mean, you got to get it done at some point.
Well, I mean, they're the most experienced team right now in the AFC when it comes to playoffs. I mean, they've been in there seven straight years, so it's a lot of experience to have. Once you've been to every phase, whether it's an AFC Championship game, a wild card, or a divisional playoff. They've been in every situation you can probably be in when it comes to playoff play. So they have that advantage. We just have to see how much have they learned from that experience. Now, they don't have the weapons that they once had. Let me be clear on that, right? So they don't have the weapons that they once have, so we'll see where the coaching definitely prevails in this game.
Big Gabe Davis, we got big game, Gabe. We got him back. This is what we were, hoping for, that he could, show up in the playoffs and give us a reliable target. We'll see what happens. No Ed Oliver, as you mentioned. No Michael Hoyt. No Max Harrison. Terrell Bernard dealing with injuries. Matt Milano been dealing with injuries. What is it going to take for this defense to be able to show up in this postseason run with so many of your key guys not being available?
Well, I mean, as of yet, you got Fedarian Mathis, who's been very solid. You have Larry Ogunjobi, who's been very solid. Deion Walker should be first team, all rookie team on the defensive side. So that core right there, let them go. Let them pin their ears back and let them dominate up front. And you got Russo and you got Bosa on the edge there. So I think they go out there and get it done. They've heard the chatter all week long about how teams can't stop the run. So we all know that the playoffs really expose who you really are. So if the Bills, obviously their weakness is can't stop the run, guess what? Jacksonville is definitely going to, try to run the ball today with Travis Etienne and set up play action in the pass game. So, those are some of the things that you have to face when you're pegged as not being able to stop the run.
Yeah, you mentioned the interior guys, and those guys are 100%, or Deion Walker, Ed Oliver, that whole core is 100% going to be what we look forward to down the line as this roster progresses. But today specifically, and in these playoffs, I'm really looking at the two guys on the edge, and you know who I'm talking about when I say the two guys. I mean the two main guys, Gregory Rousseau and Joey Bosa, right? Gregory Rousseau, you got your money, bro. First round pick. This is where you make it. He turned into a demon against Philly. So I had never seen Greg Rousseau act like that before in my life. He was looking like Myles Garrett. What the one thing I did not like about Miami tape Gregory Rousseau was same with Boogie Basham, same with Landon Jackson. There wasn't any dominant edge rushes. It was just, okay, quarterback stands in the pocket, and eventually you get to him. Versus Philly, I had never seen, I don't know what took over Gregory Rousseau, but he turned into a dominant edge rusher where he's swiping hands and getting to the quarterback, where he's dipping underneath the tackle to get to the quarterback. He's bull rushing, powering through people. And I don't know what motivated that, but I would like to see that same motivation come back for these next 4 games because we're going to need it. And Joey Bosa, injury prone, they kept Khalil Mack and not you. You know what I mean? This is your chance to prove why that was a mistake. This is your chance to prove why you are known as one of the premier defensive ends in this league in terms of getting to the quarterback. They did a pretty sufficient job of being able to keep him semi-healthy throughout the season and get him to this point. Because unlike a Joshua Palmer, right, who we knew was injury prone, right? Unlike some of the other players who we knew were injury prone, but we still brought them in. Joey Bosa is here right now. So we need Joey Bosa to step up big time. And that, that edge duo, we know the interior of the defensive line is going to get some penetration. We really need that edge to come out and look like they did versus Philly because, quite frankly, Trevor Lawrence is as hot as they come right now.
Yeah, he's definitely as hot as they come. And when you look at Joey Bosa and Greg Rousseau combined on the season, only 12 sacks.
Yeah.
So, it's a lot of money being spent, off that edge, 32 and a half to be exact, at some point, right? So that's not getting bang for your buck if I was Brandon Beane. But, you know, basically with Boy, it was really about trying to keep him healthy as possible until this moment. So now, Joey Bosa, you're one and done. So it's time to let it all hang out in the playoffs, man. And today is that day. It's time to play. It's time to play lights out. Greg Rousseau have definitely shown you flashes. He did it last year, week 1 against Arizona when he had 3 sacks in the game, and then you don't see him no more. So it was kind of like the same deal this year with him for the most part. I think he's more of a run stopper rather than a pass rusher. But he will show you those flashes where he can dominate a game and give you those Myles Garrett vibes, right? So if he can just, stay he's been on these past couple of weeks, because he's definitely been on the tear these past couple of weeks. If he can do that, getting after, Trevor Lawrence, making sure to keep him contained and, try to force him to step up in the pocket, to run, then I think they'd have a good chance on, either shutting down the run and Lawrence as well.
Yeah, and I'm here looking at the past 8 games from the Jaguars, which is where they've been on this heater that everybody's concerned about. And I'm not one to disrespect a schedule. You play who you play. But we've got the Titans, we've got the post Daniel Jones Colts, the Broncos, which is a pretty good win, even though they're not as good as I think they are. The Jets, again, the post Daniel Jones Colts, and the Titans, Cardinals, and Chargers. Not exactly murderer's row. So when you look at the Buffalo Bills, what they've been able to do, like, I don't care that the Chiefs and the Ravens didn't make the playoffs. Okay, the Chiefs, the Ravens, and the Bengals, for that matter. All right, healthy. Well, I can't speak that for the Chiefs because Patrick Mahomes was healthy pretty much the whole season. But for the most part, healthy. All 3 of those teams are going to be championship contenders, at least playoff contention.
Mm-hmm.
The Bills beat all 3 of those teams at their healthiest. Not only did Josh Allen play well in all 3 games, but the defense also showed up well since the Ravens game and since the first half of the Bengals game. But the defense showed up when it mattered. No, scratch that. The defense showed up when it mattered. Ed Oliver getting his hand in there and getting the ball out of Derrick Henry's hand, right? Christian Benford stepping up 2 weeks in a row versus the Steelers. He got a fumble 6. And then versus the Bengals, he snatched the ball out of Joe Burrow's hands for a pick 6, right? The Eagles, they shut down Jalen Hurts the entire second half. He has Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown and couldn't get the ball to anybody. And not only that, but you got Saquon Barkley coming out the backfield. True. So you got 3 superstars, and the Bills shut them down totally and completely. Mm-hmm. Now, not a big fan of Joe Brady. Everybody knows this. But if Sean McDermott can somehow keep up the pressure that he's put on these quarterbacks with this secondary, the secondary has been playing absolutely spectacular. Even when the quarterback is standing in the pocket for 8 seconds because we can't get a pass rush, he's still looking for someone to throw the ball to. So if Sean McDermott can put the same amount of pressure on Trevor Lawrence that he has on these other great quarterbacks, even though I don't put Trevor Lawrence in that category, but it's the playoffs, so you gotta, you know what I mean? I think that we could make a run through our defense this postseason.
Well, I mean, that's the recipe to win a championship, to win a Super Bowl. You got to have a sound run in the game, and obviously, defense has to stop the other team from scoring. You know what I mean? So, at the end of the day, the Bills do have those elements, but I just think that it's kind of underrated. Everybody is just looking at, when the Bills were 4-0, and then all of a sudden they lost a few games. That's what they stuck on. They stuck on Bijan Robinson and the Devin A. Chain days when they have monster numbers. They still stuck on that. So At the end of the day, it's about playing your best game in the best games, these next 3 weeks. And, again, this is where the experience come into play for Coach McDermott. It hasn't been the defense. All right. I've been saying that for weeks. It's not the defense. Coach McDermott has done a phenomenal job in the second half, to stop opponents. Let's just go back to the Philadelphia game. How do you hold the defending world champions to not a pass being completed in the second half with Saquon Barkley, in the backfield? So it wasn't the defense, it was the offense. And the offense, again, the inconsistencies of Joe Brady and his play calling being, very predictable in clutch situations has really been the demise, on why the Bills stand at 12-5. So today, it's another gut check time for Brady. Will he be able to scheme his wide receivers over? Because I'm so tired of everybody talking about this wide receiver room and they can't play or whatever the case may be. Limiting Josh Allen, with the bubble screens. Like, I'm a football coach, so I understand what that does, and bubble screens, now they work sometimes, but in the clutch situations, you will figure that, okay, I want to see a play that they've been waiting to play the entire game. And we don't see that. We see a bubble screen. So if us as Bills fans and reporters and analysts see that, what do you think the other team do? You know what I mean? They know it's coming, so it's too predictable. And for it to be, on that stage, on this level, let you know that, there's some limitations offensively. If you go all the way back to the AFC Championship game last year, 4th and 5. How do you blitz your safety and your corner in a passing situation to go to the Super Bowl? That just means that this coach knows what you're doing in this situation. So that can't happen. Not having James Cook on the field again versus Philadelphia.
They do that a lot.
Games on the line. James Cook is not on the field. So hopefully today the Bills shouldn't, get in that situation where it comes to a 2-minute drill. Because I would hate not to have James Cook out there when the game is on the line today. And, we suffer a crushing play or crushing blow, towards the end, like they did in the AFC Championship game. So to me, it's all about Brady. It's all about how he calls it up, how he dials it up today. They have to be aggressive. They cannot be conservative, just lackadaisical, going through the motions. Like, okay, we just going, coast the first half and then come out in the second half. They've been doing that all season long. They've been a very, very, very gritty team. And Coach McDermott has been Andy Reid-ish on the defensive side when it comes to making second half adjustments this year. Can you do that in the playoffs? I don't think you can afford to do that in the playoffs. Depending on, the severity of the first half, you can't think that, you could be down like you was in New England and be down 21-zip or 21 points and think you can come back like that. You can't do that in the playoff setting. So I expect offensively this Bills team to be aggressive. I expect, them to take shots down the field with Josh Allen. And that's just the key thing. You gotta allow Josh Allen to be Josh Allen now. You gotta unleash the beast. Okay, you just can't let him just be dinking and dunking down the field. If you would have told me that the game plan basically for Jacksonville is to shut down a run and let Josh Allen beat you with his arm, that's the most diabolical thing to ever say.
It should make sense.
That's the game plan, right? So,
yeah.
They're going to dare Josh Allen to beat him with his arm today. And Joe Brady, you should be well aware of that because that's been the chatter all week. So I need to see you getting the receivers involved early and got to be in your bag today. He has to open up the playbook, the plan for, their season right now. It's a single elimination game season. You cannot hold back. You cannot be conservative. You have to be very aggressive and have to set players up. You have to have your pieces on the field at all times. James Cook should never come off the field right now. Ty Johnson's dealing with an injury.
Yeah, especially if Ty's not in.
James Cook should not be off the field today unless he taps his helmet. All right, your best player's got to be out there. If James Cook is not out there, especially if the game is on the line. I mean, that's letting me know or saying to me that James Cook don't give you the best chance to win. And again, that's the most diabolical thing to say. You know what I mean? Like, so if he's not out there when the game matters the most, I have a big question mark with that. And it's not, it's not because of Sean McDermott. It's because of the offense and the play calling and the situational personnel from Joe Brady.
Yeah. If James Cook was utilized the way he was supposed to be utilized, he would have 2,000 yards this year.
Well, he would have been first team All Pro because that's what they
definitely would have been
based it on. They based it on Bijan Robinson having 300 more total yards from scrimmage than the rushing yards, and I think that's kind of contradiction because
I feel like that should be the All Pro first team or the All Purpose.
James Cook led the league in rushing, so that means he has more rushing yards than Bijan. So when it comes to All Pro running back, James Cook is first team.
Yeah.
Okay. When it comes to
all purpose, yeah, that should have been Bijan.
You got CMC and you got Bijan. You know what I mean? Like that's the category that Bijan fitted in. He shouldn't have been the top running back because he had more total yards from scrimmage. But guess what? Who do you fought for that? Joe Brady. Because in past situations, James Cook is not on the football field. And they drafted him. He was a receiving running back. He
sure was.
So you have to follow Joe Brady for James Cook not to be first team All Pro.
Yeah. That's why if he was used the way he was supposed to, he would have had 2,000 yards this year easy. But the reason apparently you rest him and you don't play him as much as you could is so that he isn't used up by the playoffs.
It's not like that.
Well, now we in the playoffs,
it's been games where he's been off the field and he's really not even utilized in the passing game as much.
No, but I'm saying the logic behind it is theoretically supposed to be because you don't want to wear him out for the playoffs. You want him to be fresh for the playoffs. That's what they said. So if that was your logic,
you're not even sure if you're going to make the playoffs. You know what I mean? You're not even sure. The Bills was out of the playoff scene early. What are we talking about?
I mean, there's a lot of questionable decision making that could be argued. You know what I mean? You look at the Bills the defense doesn't usually show up until the second half. We go into third quarters with 0 points. I mean, but my overall point is that this is the time where James Cook needs to be on the field exclusively, unless he is asking not to be on the field.
Right. Unless he say, "Yo, I need a ball real quick,"
Yeah, I mean, you need to have your best players on the field, especially if you are going to double down on neglecting to have a number one receiver. You need to have only blue chip players that you are afforded on the field for the postseason. Now, the biggest question this week so far has been Josh Allen. Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and I guess Joe Burrow, even though he never makes the playoffs. None of them are in the playoffs. And instead of that meaning, Josh Allen finished better than them all, and there's no pressure. And, he was the only quarterback good enough to carry his team to the postseason and getting kudos for that. Apparently, it's went the other way, and all the pressure is on him to win because the other three are not in the postseason. What are your thoughts on all the pressure being on Josh Allen to win the Super Bowl this year?
It's no pressure on Josh. Josh has got to play football. Josh got to be the player that the Bills drafted him to be. I don't think it's no pressure. Everybody want to go run with that analogy. There's no Burrow. It's no Jackson. It's no Mahomes because other than Jackson, those two other guys that I mentioned, those are the ones who have really been beating Josh Allen in the playoffs. And that's why everybody is running with it's pressure on Josh narrative because Allen and Burrow isn't there. And then on top of the Bills have not won a playoff game on the road in the Josh Allen era. All right. So, a lot of that.
That's a testament to how good the Bills have been. I don't think that's a real thing.
A lot of that is on
it's all on Mahomes' behalf outside the first game, which was in Houston.
Yeah, Right. Well, yeah, right. So that's they look at those analogies, but to me, it's no pressure on Josh Allen. Josh Allen has to play football, but Joe Brady needs to unleash the beast, and that's really has been the problem. If Joe Brady unleashed the beast, then it's no pressure. Josh Allen will lead you to a Super Bowl, and his playoff numbers prove that. So Brady, you got to emulate those type of numbers, especially in the playoffs, because listen. You remember when the Bills were running the ball early last season and Josh Allen, was didn't like it. Like he didn't like it. Then all of a sudden they started throwing the ball all over the yard again. You know what I mean? So you got to let Josh Allen be Josh Allen, especially in the playoffs. If everybody's saying that it's pressure on Josh Allen, well, let Josh Allen go down guns blazing or whatever the case may be. Let Josh Allen be Josh Allen, and you'll see Josh Allen leading this team to a Super Bowl.
Hey man, I certainly hope so. It's going to be an interesting one today. Do you have any predictions? I'm not going to ask you for a final score prediction because I'm not a big fan of that personally. But do you have any predictions for the game in terms of how you think it's going to go?
Again, if the Bills offense come to the party, then there's a possibility they can really dominate this game. We need to see them be ultra aggressive offensive. We have not seen an aggressive Bills team. My thing is this: Bills will come down in their first possession and just make it look so easy. And then all of a sudden he just puts it on cruise control. He takes the foot off the gas. Like it has to be all gas, no brakes. Starting today, it has to be all gas, no brakes, man. You can't just come down, make it look easy, and then defense make a play, get a 3 and out or something, and then you want to start experimenting and get conservative with the play calling, man. You got to open the playbook up today, man. Gabe Davis will be out there. Keon Coleman will be actually suited up today. So will we see 12 personnel? Will we see an aggressive 12 personnel group with Dawson Knox and Kincaid? So I'm really excited to see, what Joe Brady is going to cook up today. So he has to be in his bag. Defensively, the boys told me Friday that, they got some new wrinkles defensively to contain Trevor Lawrence and shut down the run. So I'm excited to see what that's going to be. I'm not really worried about the defense. If they can stop the run, a lot of people, give Jacksonville credit for being the number one run defense, but nobody's been talking about the Bills possesses the number one pass defense. And I've not heard that all week. But the Bills, here it is, stand number one in pass defense. Mad Max will definitely be a big blow. Because he's been the reason why a lot of receivers been quiet. Again, this Bills defense shut down A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith to no catches. And, some of that was due to, Mad Max being out in the field, being able to run with the speed guy. So it's going to be a good matchup to see Washington out there, Brian Thomas, one-on-one with, the Bills corner. And we don't know who will that be. So that's going to be a key factor, key matchup right there in the passing game, because they use him really to be, to stretch the field downfield, and Parker Washington working underneath. So it's going to be interesting on both sides. Game is run up front in the trenches, and I think the Bills are going to be playing with a chip on their shoulder. Again, they want to talk about Josh Hines Allen. He only got 7 sacks on the season too. So it's a lot of pump faking, going on just because Jacksonville has been on this 8-game winning streak. Trevor Lawrence has been playing, up to his potential, and now it's a new season. So it's creme de la creme. Everybody is good when it comes to the playoffs, from 1 seed to the 7 seed, and you're gonna have a exciting ball game. I'm gonna say Bills 31, Jacksonville 23.
Okay. Nice. Was the more than touchdown? All right, so 7.5 spread. You taking the over? I think it's gonna be. I'm not gonna say a blowout, but I do think it's gonna be a rout. I don't know who's gonna win. All right, but whoever wins, I think is gonna win convincingly. I could see the Bills come out and totally lay in an egg because it wouldn't be the first time it happened this season. right? I could also see the Bills come out firing on all cylinders because it
They
wouldn't be the
cannot.
first time
They
it happened.
cannot be scared to play football against the Jacksonville Jaguars. To miss me with that. They cannot be scared to play football.
Should they have been scared to play the Dolphins? Should they have been scared to play the Falcons?
Yes, right. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying. They can't be scared to play Jacksonville. Not when you're the most seasoned team in here. They better act like it. They better act like they
Better act like
out
it.
there. They better act like it.
I do have faith in McDermott though. I think he's gonna get the boys right, and I hope the Bills can get a win today. I think they will win. I guess we'll see. But we are right on time, so that's gonna do it for us here at Bills World. I'm Justus General Rapper. Of course, that's Muki, and we'll see you guys after the game. Bills Jaguars playoffs, baby. Let's do it. Go Bills.